man, was that dicey against one of the worst teams in the NBA. Hello, and welcome into your Celtics source, home of your 28-11, still second place somehow, Boston Celtics. I feel like we have to start with the last 5 minutes of that fourth quarter, and maybe even the last 2 minutes against the Pelicans. Right? Derrick White has been in an awful slump for the last 10 games or so, I would say. I don't know if it's a focus issue or just a slump that he's in, but the two turnovers that he had in this game almost, if it were not for DeJounte Murray missing that shot at the end, and I'll talk about that later, but had DeJounte Murray made that shot and the Pelicans won, I would have given most of the blame to Derrick White in this game, right? The first turnover came when Tatum casually inbounded the ball to him, and Derrick White just let it roll off his fingers and out of bounds. Like, it's one of those plays where you're just bringing the ball up and you don't really have pressure, so you just lob it in. And Derrick White just took his eye off to look up the court and see where everyone was, and the ball just goes right off of him and out of bounds. And then his second turnover with 6 seconds to go. I'll talk about that later, but I mean, that was one of the most that could have been the worst turnover of the season. But it's not just the turnovers. It's the shooting, right? 1 for 6 today, 0 for 5 from 3. The duo of him and Holiday were considered probably the best backcourt in the NBA last year. And they're not even close this year, right? It's one thing for White to not be making his shots. He's in such a bad slump right now that he's not even creating his own shot. Something that we've seen him do on countless occasions, right? Driving downhill, going up for his signature floater that he loves. And he just can't get anything to go for him. He's not even trying. I think he's just in such a bad mental state right now that he won't even attempt to drive to the paint and take shots. He'll still shoot these ridiculous long-range shots that he's got to stop taking. And the whole team's like this, really, right? Maybe not as bad as White, but another awful shooting performance from the entire team. 29.5% from 3, right? If it was not for Tatum and maybe Al Horford, maybe Brown, maybe Kristaps Porzingis, but mostly Tatum, right? Supplying the only source of offense in his inefficient shooting, the Celtics could have lost by 10, right? I'll get to Tatum in just a second, but right, despite his 38 points, double-double, he only had 1 assist, and he pulled a Grant Williams at the end, missing 2 free throws that would have sealed the game. And he talked about it in his post-game interview, right? How just uncharacteristic of him, and how he could never do that again. But anyway, right? Back to the entire team. Holiday's percentage has been cut in half this year, right? Horford is nowhere to be seen most nights. He didn't make 3 or 4 surprisingly tonight. And then Sam Hauser only played 9 minutes or something in this game. Maybe has he re-aggravated his back or something, his spasms? Because this is a night where you could have used his offense and maybe even his physicality on defense, and he just doesn't play. right? Another big problem, or not really problem, but I don't know why it's not. Neemias Queta's not playing more. I think it was entering the fourth quarter. Luke Cornett had like 5 fouls, and the game wasn't going right for the Celtics. That's a moment when you could put in KP with his athleticism and rim protection that Luke doesn't have. This like Luke doesn't. He just doesn't have that, right? He might be more consistent, but when you need that edge, KP's just, or not KP. Kata's just like not like just he's just not in Joe Mazzulla's list of guys to go to. I don't know why. Anyway, right? Give White a break. Like, I would, right? Like, I would switch up the starting lineup maybe. Maybe take White out. Maybe even take KP out. Put in Hauser and let him run with JT, Brown, KP, Drew. You know, the Celtics starting five is like a -10 net rating after being, I would say, the best starting five. Well, the numbers say the best, but the best starting five all of last season, right? They've only played less than 200 minutes together, so it might be just the chemistry, but it's really like guys are smoking layups, missing easy dunks, something that's not chemistry based. Like JT smokes a transition dunk in this game. Luckily, right, he gets it back and dunks it over Murray, but like just when the offense is hard to come by, you can't be just missing the easy opportunities. I'll give it a couple games before I declare that the Celtics have to mix it up. Maybe Pritchard in the starting lineup, like Hauser. I don't know, but something's got to change. And now I guess we're back to the same defensive problem, leaving guys open, right? DeJounte Murray has been shooting like under 30% from three on the season. But so it makes sense at the beginning to dare him to shoot, or he be the guy that the Celtics leave open. But once he starts making all of them, the defense just doesn't change. Like the drop cover with KP protecting the rim, but then that leaves a 5-out offense like the Pelicans had last night, wide open shots, leaving too many guys open that eventually they're gonna make it, and they made them pay tonight. Okay, right now time for that D White atrocious turnover, right? 6 seconds to go, just after Jason Tatum smokes the free throws, right? This guy was like wide open. Well, there were multiple guys open, but somehow D White just fails to inbound the ball and claims to have called a timeout before that 5-second rule. I don't think it was close. I think he called a timeout almost a second after 5. He just like freaked out and like held the ball when he saw guys running around that maybe had a step or two and you could throw that. They were open, but he just didn't feel comfortable. Like D White's got to be more confident in his passing, that he'll get it there. It'll all turn out okay. And this led to a possession where DeJounte Murray just got an easy drive to the basket for a layup high off glass, which is his signature shot. Right? He destroys teams like that. He destroyed the Celtics all night like that, besides knocking down however many shots he made from behind the arc. I think he made like 4 or something like that, 4 or 5. Only missed 1 or 2, I think, all game. Anyway, the shot barely bounces off the rim and out, but like imagine if it had gone in and the Celtics lost the game, right? This would be a totally different conversation, right? And I say this after every game, but they gotta figure it out. Like, we're almost halfway through the season. Like, I don't think it's a coaching thing. I think it's just them just playing poorly. It's on them. So, right, the Celtics play the Raptors, a team that they beat by 50 last time. And then they have the Magic and Hawks. And then they go out on another very hard, maybe the hardest trip of the season, against the Warriors, Lakers, Clippers, Suns, all West Coast. Hopefully everyone's doing okay there from the Fires. But if the Celtics have to get these 3 wins here before they head out. And, I'm going to wrap this video up here. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to check out my brand new podcast about the Boston Red Sox. You can find it on YouTube or on Spotify. Just search Extra Innings Idiots. And until next time, go Celtics.